So our project was the Graffiti Hotspots project. I guess it came about because there was increased reports of graffiti and antisocial behaviour around Melton, and those reports were received through our graffiti hotline. There was also concerns expressed by different community members at the Police Community Consultative Committee. And again, there was an increase in customer service inquiries at various departments within council. So through those various, I guess, inquiries and complaints and reports of graffiti, this project came about. So we identified 2 hotspots in Melton that we were going to target through this project. I guess there was a widespread concern of graffiti, but we decided to focus on 2 particular hotspots. So we used a SEPTED approach, crime prevention through environmental design. I guess so we were trying to design out graffiti in those 2 hotspots. And again, so to ensure the sustainability of this project and the work, particularly at these 2 hotspots, but it actually being usable throughout the council in the future, it was really important that solutions were guided by consultations with the community, its residents and traders. So I think one of the reasons, or the major reason I think that this project was a big success was because we actually consulted with the community. So we set up consultation nights where we invited people from, I guess, local schools, residents, traders, community groups that were in the vicinity of these 2 hotspots. Also, sorry, I need to backtrack a little bit. We utilised Matt Moody, who's also here today, our local crime prevention officer. So he helped us in community audits. So when we consulted with the community, we actually did a safety audit of those 2 photos that you've seen. So we actually went out and assessed the site for safety and graffiti issues in those areas. So definitely we consulted community, and they informed solutions and what we were going to do in moving ahead with the project. Also, relevant evidence-based literature was used, so looking at SEPTED designs, recommendations, tips, and also graffiti prevention and graffiti removal. So looking at actual literature and what has worked, what's been reported, and what hasn't worked. The partners that we had, I guess, throughout the project was, like I said, Matt Moody, who was our local crime prevention officer. And I think it's great that he can actually be here today to support the presentation. So I think that's, I guess evidence of a good partnership that we've fostered there. Also, other council departments, some were already involved in graffiti management, like our operations department, but some weren't. So we kind of engaged with other members of our council. Local graffiti workshop group, so there was an actual group of young people in the community that was actually working on a graffiti workshop and graffiti skills, so we engaged with them to see how they could help us with a mural that we did put up. Local traders, and I guess just that continuous communication is really important. So being in constant communication with all those partners, because it's really easy to have a once-off conversation and you walk out thinking that, we have an agreement, and 2 or 3 weeks later you've gone back and suddenly there's a new manager on site or somebody hasn't passed that message on. So I think that continuous communication with all those partners is really important to the success of the project. So there was lots of interest, I guess, in the community wanting to be involved in these wall murals, wanting to be involved, and now we actually have completed a wall mural. There's buzz about, where else can we do these things? How else can we make this community safer? So there's been lots of, I guess, movement from when we started. Thanks. These are just some pictures of our graffiti workshop. So just highlighting, again, engaging with the community. Beautiful shot here, I guess, that highlights involvement from all age groups in the community. So we just, again, practiced some spray can use, all those sorts of things, and looked at a mural design together that fit what the community wanted, what the artist thought could work together, and what we thought would work at council. So this is us gathering at the site, the Hotspot 1, and again working with a street artist to get a mural up on the wall. So we actually had that wall clean for a week or 2 before we put this mural on, and that wall remained clean, free of graffiti, free of tags for 2 weeks. So if you can imagine a blank, huge canvas in this hotspot. So there was enough, I guess, respect for what was going to happen in the space, and enough interest for what was going to be put up in that space. So I think, again, that engagement is really, really important. And clearly, I think having a white blank wall for 2 weeks with no tags is an indication of that respect from the community in actually working together to create something that's visually appealing for their space. And I guess I just wanted to highlight some positive and negative issues that we encountered along the way. Certainly one of the positives was the flow-on projects. So through this project, I guess one of our other departments, youth services, have decided to tackle graffiti and actually do a graffiti workshop themselves. And there's a lot of interest, I guess, in their participants and their young people wanting to showcase their work in public space. And I guess there's just interest. We've also got, in addition to those 2 hotspots, a new hotspot that's just kind of arisen really quickly throughout this project that's close to that first wall. So again, we've got people that are interested in putting some artwork up there. So we're looking really, it's exciting to see the work that's actually stemming from this initial project, and how, again, not only are the departments within council getting excited, but so are other residents and community members, and they're almost excited to be involved in a similar type of project. And again, just because I guess things are beyond the scope and time of this project, so anyone that these new flow-on projects, we've helped link them together again. So whether it's referring to youth services or actually partnering up with them and educating, I guess, other departments on what we've done and what they can do. So they've been the positive effects of the project, and some negative issues encountered. I guess my biggest hurdle was the traders being hesitant about graffiti removal, and I touched on that earlier about, I guess, just that not being aware of the role of rapid removal of graffiti and how that can minimise further graffiti. So I guess we needed to provide education about those things, and also consult with them about, again, what they thought would be most useful, whereas I thought perhaps graffiti removal solutions, whereas they thought paint would be more useful in their area. So really engaging with them, and also time with those traders. Again, like I touched on earlier, you need that constant communication with them, to think that after one conversation that you actually have a partnership or an agreement. I found didn't always work. Some were really quick to get on board, some were really hesitant. Of course, they may have had some dealings in the past, so I think just time and needing to go out to the community constantly. I think I was on the road every day, just trying to speak to people over and over again, and really cement that partnership. The project was a huge success, and I think those photos really highlight the turnout of the community to actually come out and work on this wall. So could we do it again and succeed? Most definitely. If we were to, though, there'd be some small changes that I'd make. I'd probably look at some smaller hotspot sites and engage with. I've got more youth there, but I think I mean more community members. So I think this might sound silly, but I think to spread that connection around the community as opposed to having the 2 hotspot sites. So if you had smaller hotspots where more people could get involved, I think that might work well. Engage more community members in implementing solutions again, so like we did with the wall, having community actually come out and paint the wall themselves. So I think certainly having them involved in those solutions and actually carrying those solutions out, and more youth graffiti workshops, and there again, just because of the interest that's actually already happened, and that momentum that's happening at the moment, with lots of young people being interested in those sorts of things. So the keys to success for this project were, again, the community engagement. Get out there and talk to as many people as you can, I guess, because again, you're relying on them to work with you, but also you're relying on people to actually spread your word, and be involved that way. So constant contact with the community, constant contact with your partners. find out what benefits the community would like to see and work to create those. So really engage them in the solutions, not just offer a solution, but actually find out what the community thinks will work, what they think they can uphold, because at the end of the day, we still rely on them to call to phone the graffiti hotline. We still rely on them to report things. So we want things that they think they can work and they can actually keep going. And of course, sharing a vision. So there's no use in having a vision that the community doesn't support, doesn't agree with, doesn't share, because they're not going to share and communicate that. So if you have a bigger vision, I guess, of a safer community, not just tackling one hotspot or one wall, but having a safer community. So if you share that larger vision, if you constantly convey that larger vision, you're actually getting them on board with that, and that's what they're actually communicating when they talk about it. They're talking. So if I look back at that first wall that we did, that's the conversations that those residents are actually having. They're talking about a safer community. They're no longer talking about a hotspot. They're no longer talking about one wall, but they're talking about community connections and those sorts of things. So if you share that larger vision with them, I think that's the key to success. Advice for anyone here. Again, I think I've said this enough times, but consult with the community. It's not going to work in the long run if you're not consulting with them. So anybody and everybody in that community, like I said, it creates interest and gets people talking, and that's what you want. You want your word to spread, and you want your community to be actually spreading that word and believing in that. And if it's something that they like and genuinely are interested in, that will spread really, really quickly. Again, engage the community in solutions. So ask them for their feedback. What do they think will work? What do they think will work in their community? But also then have them help in implementing those solutions. So having them engage in the whole process of the project from start to finish, and also connect and collaborate with other departments within your council, because you'll find some overlap somewhere, and it's an extra resource.